welcome you all to our Heart to Heart Women's Circle, USA, part of the World Womanhood Project. Here, you will hear the stories of special women who've greeted life's challenges with poise, compassion, and love, with an elegance of character that will warm your heart. The World Womanhood Project celebrates the profound impact of women on society by recognizing their contributions, amplifying their stories, and fostering self-awareness and self-esteem. Above all, it honors the nurturing power of women, the heart of society's strength, a quality that transcends all boundaries. Present in every form of womanhood across all species worldwide. Founded by Mohanji, a humanitarian and philanthropist, he respects women as the backbone of society and the driving force transforming humankind into kind humans with their unique ability to nurture, infusing every field with compassion, strength, and grace. Under the World Womanhood Project, we aim to establish the Heart-to-Heart Women's Circle in every country to nurture the world through our collective power. As part of the Heart-to-Heart Women's Circle, USA chapter, we proudly introduce our guests today, Dr. Sadhana Singh and Ms. Nikunj Naredi, who will share their transformative journeys. We will also explore our powerful topic, Nurturing Womanhood, the Heartbeat of Growth and Transformation, with our esteemed guests. May their stories inspire your mind, kindle your heart, and illuminate your soul, as well as inspire your own life's journey. You will naturally have questions, so we've put aside a few moments for question and answers. After all the guests have had a chance to share their stories. So our first guest, Dr. Sadhana Singh, is a specialist in women's health and fertility, blending expertise in both Western and Eastern medicine. After earning her medical degree in India and practicing obstetrics, gynecology, and internal medicine for over a decade, she pursued a master's and doctorate in acupuncture and Oriental medicine with a focus on women's health. A founding member and fellow of the American Board of Reproductive Medicine, Dr. Singh has been instrumental in bridging traditional Chinese medicine with modern reproductive care. She has served as the President Emeritus of ASRM's Complementary and Integrative Medicine Special Interest Group. Dr. Singh is one of the selected few doctorates of acupuncture in the US and is considered a specialist in women's health-related matters. Welcome, Dr. Singh. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Please share a few words about yourself and your journey. Welcome, Dr. Singh.
Thank you so much, Kalpana, for that kind introduction. I'm honored to be part of this amazing group of women. And as you mentioned earlier about how as women we can just support each other, and there's no greater power than that when we all come together. So I did already a little about my journey, but very briefly again, my training in India was in regular Western medicine. I practiced Western medicine in India. But After my training after my Western medicine training in India and practicing Western medicine years here, I moved to Singapore and got more interested in holistic healthcare in Singapore while doing emergency medicine in Singapore with an Asian. Are you here? Back? I am back. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So sorry about that. So as you had mentioned, after an initial training in medical, finishing up my doctor training in India, I moved to Singapore where I was still working in emergency medicine as well as started getting more interested in holistic healthcare, which into that to learning more about acupuncture and Chinese medicine. We moved to the US about 25 years ago, and I went on to do my master's in acupuncture and herbal medicine, as well as continued to get more involved in specific fertility, women's health, and did a doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, herbology, with a focus on gynecology and women's health, as well as Kalpana mentioned, that I work primarily or predominantly with women for fertility, helping their helping them in their challenges towards their reproductive health and conception. And it's just been a very interesting journey. We'll talk more about as we go forward with the questions. And it's, again, as I was saying earlier, an honor to be part of this group. I am I practice in Houston, Texas. We have 3 clinics to serve our patients' population better in different areas of Houston. It's kind of widespread. And we have a group of 4 acupuncturists, again, working primarily a lot with medicine doctors, as well as if you tried acupuncture would know that it can help a lot with pain management. In fact, it's kind of been my mission now to educate people about it, just because there's not enough information and people do not know what all it can help with. So, for pain or well, circle women who I helped with the conception about 20 years ago when I first started are now coming back for perimenopausal, menopausal issues. So it's kind of a full circle. But acupuncture is something that can address a lot of different things. And I wouldn't take more of your time. Let's move on to, meeting with Nikunj and then move from there. Is that okay?
Yes, Dr. Singh, I do have a question for you. What message would you most like the audience, especially young women who are just beginning their journeys, to take away from your experience? And what advice do you feel is most relevant for them today?
I think what I would sort of distill down from the years of getting these hair gray would be that, believe in yourself, follow your passion in life, which is very important to be, comfortable with what you're doing, be passionate about it. As I mentioned about fertility, I keep coming back to that because I strongly feel a lot of young women who are focusing on careers and are putting off their reproductive journey to later on in life need to know about the options that we currently have for egg freezing if they're not ready to have, children right now. As I want to share with a lot of people about the fact that on Western medicine, unfortunately, past year 35, women get put in an advanced maternal age category where chances of conception go down drastically. So, yes, follow your, passion and I'm all for, promoting education, your professional experience, your work, but just because of this information that I've gathered over the years, where it gets harder and harder for women to conceive once they get past 35, that they could look at an option for egg freezing, That's something that I know it's sort of a little bit not that most women are right off the bat thinking about, especially if they are result oriented, goal oriented, have a passion for education, and want to get to a goal in life which they're focusing on. So it's important for them to also know that this is something that they can be a little more cautious about.
That's a great advice, Dr. Singh. I think you like so relevant, especially when young people get so carried away with their careers. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for the wonderful answer that you gave for this question. And we will get back to you. And now I would like to bring in our next guest, Ms. Nikunj Naredi is a social entrepreneur and fashion designer with over 18 years of experience in the industry, a graduate of the National Institute of Fashion Technology. She has worked with leading export houses in Mumbai and served as the India head of Best Karma Designs. Nikunj was also the head of the fashion design department at Arka Jain University in Jharkhand, where she helped establish the department, curriculum, and infrastructure. She is the founder of Ahimsa Imprints, a sustainable brand empowering both rural and urban women through handmade products. Her entrepreneurial journey began with training women under AMU-CARES Act for Women Project, where she also served as the Central Management Council member of AMU-CARE. Welcome, Ms. Nikunj Naredi, and thank you so much for being here. Please share a few words about yourself and your journey.
Thank you so much, Kalpana. Thank you, all of you. Indeed, it's such an honor to share the space with all of you all and be here and be a part of this initiative. I just feel so expanded just to be here. So thank you again. So for me, the journey started, the whole entrepreneurial journey started more after I moved from my working career in Bombay of almost 9 to 10 years, where I was working with export houses. And I think I reached a point where I felt it wasn't about what position you are in or what money. It was more like, am I happy? And I just felt that maybe the question wasn't an affirmative, and I just wanted to do something which gave joy to my heart. And out of Ziffy, one day I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. And I moved back to my hometown, which is Jamshedpur in Jharkhand, the east part of India. And I mean, I'm lucky my parents live here and they took me back in. Suddenly, when I get up and say, okay, I'm not going to have a job and I'm going to be living with you. So everyone was shocked for sure, but they were really sweet to just take me back in. I had no clue what I'm getting into, but I knew there's something I want to create around sharing my learnings at the university, in the industry. And so yeah, that's how I began. After, of course, a month of just lazing in the garden in the housing society, I was like, it's time to do something. I had an entrepreneurial stint, which I started then, which was again around design training in the city. But I think it was a bit ahead of its time, and I failed after a few sessions and a few part-time workshops, which I was again conducting for women in the city, like girls in school or housewives. But I think it was more seen as a drawing class or a tailoring class. And so I think I had to like kind of stop it then. And then I became a design educator at the university. The opening came and I actually helped them set up the department. This is where my actual journey started, because the university is on the outskirts of the city. It's in a land next to a village. And that whole, even when I took up my job, I was very clear to them that it's more something which I want to do as one of the things. But I was very clear that there was more that I was seeking, and they were kind enough to accommodate that, that zeal of mine. And through the housekeeping staff at the university, I discovered that there are women in the villages around who I reached. And this was the beginning of the journey when I stepped into Mohanpur, the village called Mohanpur, which of course again was a sign for me, because our guide, our founder, Mohanji, it's a namesake of his name. And I was like, okay, is this destiny? And so I went there, and there were like some 30, 40 pairs of eager eyes, girls and women of all ages plunked on floors, girls running around wondering who this woman is. And when I went there, they all seemed super excited. And when I asked for a list of women who wanted to learn stitching and embroidery, I had a long list. But then I had to narrow it down to 6 of them. I said, let me start with the younger girls. So I started training 6 young girls, actually 5, and one was a lady, as much a girl because they get married so early. She was so young as well. So started training them in a rented space in the village with no electricity. I spent a few months to get electricity there as well. So took a room in one of the ladies' houses and started training them in hand sewing and hand embroidery. To my plight, in 6 months, all of them were getting engaged and getting married, and they were of the age of 14 or 15 or 16. And I tried my best to reason this, but I figured it was a battle I'm not going to win. So I just had to make peace with it. And I started the whole process again by training women from the village. So mothers and, women who were married in the village. And I started training them, rented another space, and then hand sewing. And then I had machines which I used for my training earlier. I started giving them machine training. I had to get a better electricity system because the one which we had was wonky. So it was like a 6-month drill to going to the town planning office and get electricity over there. So started training them with those skills, and then we started getting into product making. These were all women who have never worked before. Half of them had not even hold a pencil, like they've never held a pair of scissors. So we started from scratch, literally from paper, drawing lines to actually cutting and making products. And for me, the one of the best days, which I always talk about when I talk about my journey, which is etched in my heart, is the first day they made money. We did our first conference bag order, and the day I paid them, the smiles on their faces of earning something of what they have created. One woman calling out to the son of the other, saying, "See, your mother had her first earning." In Bengali, they were, because it's on the border of Jharkhand and Bengal, so they all have a Bengali dialect, and that's what. So it was like so. That's how it was. And since then, we have been walking ahead, new trainings, new products. And we also, with again guidance Mohanji, we set up a brand called Ahimsa Imprints, which again is on the values of creating products which are responsible. We upcycle a lot of fabrics, so that's my way of expressing Ahimsa, where they might not be vegan, but at least they're fabrics which are not going to the landfills. So a lot of industry side cuts land up in the landfill, and these we bring and we make products. We use fresh fabric as well, but we put them together and we do that. And the whole idea of creating products under this is that products are responsible and women are getting empowered by it. So this has been more or less the journey. We are, of course, working on it still. And as we go ahead, I'll share more and not take a lot of time now. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nikunj. It just sounds all very exciting, but at the same time, your patience and endurance did take you, and your level of awareness. Wonderful. So I have a question for you, Ms. Nikunj. What are the most significant challenges you faced as a woman entrepreneur, and how have these experiences helped you nurture resilience and growth, both for yourself and the women you work with?
So the challenges have been many and varied in nature, of course. Few, of course, were from the environment around. So when you leave a well-paying job, and the whole world works with the notion of being stable only when you have salary coming to your bank account every month. So when you leave that and you come back to a small town and start something, and then you travel to a village, there are a lot of question marks that are put in front of you. So that was one. I have so much so had experiences where people would say, "Oh, it's good for time pass," and so the whole fact that you're not in a stable job and you're not a man, both of it contributes that if there's a lady who's not in a job and just doing something of her own, it just becomes something you're doing to kill time. So this was something which I heard a lot. But I think it actually made me feel more confident and started making me feel more calmer. I would get I so much so walked the journey of being very angry to becoming just laughing it out, saying it's okay. I mean, you don't get it, but it's perfectly fine. That was one. Secondly, I already obviously spoke about the girls getting mad, like a lot of things around which you can't fight, right? And if you're working with women group, because every segment has their own system of working, so the villages work in a different way, and you can't question that. So that was second. But I think these are things outside, but we also have challenges which come from within us. And for me, which I feel one of the most significant thing I saw is not understanding and realizing our true potential, which I also saw with these women. They're so used to being told that they're not good enough or they don't know this. There's no feeling of confidence or self-belief. I mean, every time I was trying to do something new with them, and it's something which I face even till now, because it's so deep rooted in them that every time I even teach them a new stitch or a new product, the first thing I hear is, oh, we can't do this. Oh, this can't be done, because there's just that, you just limit yourself and you don't know your potential. So it's a challenge which is a day-to-day challenge, and there's no permanent solution for it other than just being at it and someone working on it completely. It has so much power that sometimes it sets in you as well. It's like quicksand. Sometimes you feel you also get sucked up in it and you become laid back, and it's a comfort zone of some sort where you have to pull yourself back and say, no, I have to do more. And I will just quickly give an example that I worked on. So these are the same women who would refuse to do smaller or easier products. But when I worked with them, continuously, we created beautiful wall arts, which are intricately embroidered, which basically are recreations of traditional art forms of Jharkhand. If you see these wall arts, you will feel there are expert embroiderers who've created that. So, I mean, every time I see it, I have a broad smile on my face. That is the same women who have created that. So, but even that doesn't last long. They would like it, but then they'll forget, because the environment that they are in kinds of takes over them. So this is a permanent challenge which is always there, where you have to keep pushing them and keep pushing yourself, because there's something or the other, that whole pendulum effect which keeps bringing you back, and you have to keep going back to putting in more. So I think this is one big challenge, and especially if you're trying to work with the rural sector. And I also feel it varies in different parts of India also, because of the kind of drive that is there, or the kind of mentality of the men around, or the family systems, or what they've been brought up with. So I think these are things which you have to tackle. And I think these are my challenges which I face the most every day.
Wonderful. What a wonderful answer for all of us and for the audience too. And, listening to you, Ms. Nikunj, I go back to what Mohanji keeps reiterating about: don't focus on what other people think of you and other people's opinions, because that is one of, a major setback for women, especially in the areas that you are working in. But thank you so much, Nikunj, for your wonderful answer. And now we have some questions for both you and Dr. Singh. So I am going to start with, we're going to now dive into today's powerful theme, which is nurturing womanhood. the heartbeat of growth and transformation, as we hear the inspiring personal experiences and wisdom of our distinguished guests. So I would ask this question first to Dr. Singh and then Ms. Nikunj. You will follow later. So Dr. Singh, how do you see the nurturing qualities of womanhood influencing both personal and societal transformation? And how can they be harnessed to create a lasting change?
I think as you mentioned, from a personal as well as societal, on a personal note, in terms of, having all the women in my life, starting from my mother, I don't have a sister, but I have friends who are, I think, more than sisters. So it's more like where you choose your family sort of from there, with having all the support as the journey has been through the fact that I went ahead and was practicing Western medicine, was a Western medicine doctor. And at some point when I switched gears to taking on more holistic kind of approach to, there was some sort of, questions around like, why are you doing this? Or why are you just kind of not doing what you have trained to do and wanting to go in this field of more complementary medicine? And I clearly remember how my mom was my biggest supporter on that, and said, in fact, she herself at 40 years ago, when I first trained in Western medicine, it's like, wouldn't it be so nice if you could do something more holistic? And I was just like, what are you talking about, Mom? Because you're just of a Western trained mind. So the interesting part has been where I pursued what my heart was telling me, or what my heart and my mind kind of coordinated and said, okay, let me look into this field of complementary medicine. And if it's something that I'm not going to be comfortable with, I can always fall back on to doing what I know best. But once I delved into the whole field of holistic care, having already been trained in Western medicine, seeing all there's absolutely nothing wrong with Western medicine. It just is sometimes so super specialized that people just go in one direction or the other. And I wanted to take a more holistic. That's what has always been my dream when I started to learn alternative medicine. And once again, it's not so much alternative, but now more complementary health and care medicine. And that if we could combine both of them would be the best kind of an approach for our patients, because it's wonderful to be able to see an ultrasound or see something on a CT scan and be like, yes, this confirms our diagnosis, but how do we approach it? Not everything can be treated with drugs. It can be, but at the same time, it's kind of tongue in cheek because it can be, but at the same time, there could be some side effects, and all our bodies are different. We just respond differently for things. So coming back to your question, Kalpana, where it was like, it was on a personal level, very, very sort of, kind of encouraged by my mother about it. And even though people question, why are you going this route of learning something new at an age where I was 40 when I went to acupuncture school. At that, it was more like having to do well at school because I had to come back and share grades with my kids who were in middle school and high school. Like, what did you get today? And I was just like, oh my God, I got to do good because I have to tell them how I'm doing in school. And it gets to be a learning experience. Things change, your mental capacity to, learn and to understand, have the wisdom and experience, but then your, grasping power is just different. But it was challenging, it was interesting. And what's important is that it came a full circle when I finally got into putting it together, because then I could sort of pull in from my Western medicine mind as well as the complementary medicine and understand what my patient needs in a better way. And
yeah,
it's been sort of an honor to be part of the journey of the women that I'm working with who I see them at their most vulnerable place. So for me, having had not a personal experience with fertility challenges, it was something I took for granted. So when I started to see women who had been going through a struggle for months, years, or a decade on some of them, that this was their goal in terms of everywhere you see around, like their sisters having a baby or their friends having a baby, and they were at this most vulnerable place where it's been really, you almost feel like you have like a vision into their inner self, almost like, okay, they are so vulnerable, and how can you bring about changes with whether it's more nutrition, lifestyle, acupuncture, Chinese medicine, stress management, combining that with their Western medicine counterpart. And I'm not saying all the patients we see end up getting pregnant, but when you see that pregnancy and you see them through the pregnancy. So as I was sharing that in terms of also at building those, bridges between trying to combine and trying to share with our Western medicine counterparts, because to get them on board. And it's been an amazing journey, just because 20 years ago, they were less open to the acupuncture, as well as combining that with their patients' treatments. And now we see a bunch of referrals from them over the years. So it's been building that, inculcating, so that when their reproductive specialist that they're seeing is pretty open to them going for acupuncture, they don't have to hide it and be like, I'm going for acupuncture, but I cannot share it with my doctor. So the whole training experiences sort of come a full circle, where it's more comprehensive for taking care of them and helping them. And I feel like it's just really an honor to be part of their journey in their most vulnerable times, as well as being able to say that, and it's not me, it's like they'll say it, and it's wonderful that because I hear that sometimes some patients, just something that came to mind right now is somebody who sent me a Christmas card with their kids and the dog in front of the fireplace and said, if we hadn't come to you and we hadn't had this baby, our Christmas picture would have been a lot different.
So, Ms. Nikunj, I'm going to repeat the question for you. How do you see the nurturing qualities of womanhood influencing both personal and societal transformation? And how can they be harnessed to create lasting change?
I think the nurturing qualities are deep influencers, both at the personal level and at the societal level, because like Dr. Singh mentioned, it starts right with your mother, right, when you come. And you can see that when you have a very nurturing environment and you have that time with your mother, how you grow up to. I feel it actually sets a foundation of stability for an individual, which I also feel kinds of converts into a societal stability, because we together make that. So if we are in a nurturing environment, assume children as well, where there's a lot of love that is being shared. When I look at nurturing, I feel it's an exchange of love in every format. Like even there, if there's skill imparting, I feel it's not about the skill so much. It's also about, with love, you're sharing something. So I think that whole aspect of sharing is what nurturing is all about. And if we see all these emotional chaos around as well, it's actually that whole lack of nurturing which sets the foundation of that. If that nurturing is the beginning, it's going to be way more stable, because you'll have that inner freedom, that inner self-belief, that confidence, and inner security that you feel. Anyone who is very emotionally disturbed, it's an insecure space inside which you have, which actually comes from a lack of nurtured environment that they are in. So that's why you'll realize, like, it's something which I have realized with contemplation, which I only learned now, especially after my spiritual journey began, or after I met my guru and I started going within and meeting all of lovely people like you all, and actually thinking about it, that lot of who we are is because of what we experience as a child or in our teens. It actually lays the foundation and the base for what we become. So imagine if there are lot of nurturing women around, how much of healing that can happen in the world and for ourselves as well. One very quick example I would give is I actually realized that during my very initial school days, which I mean nursery, standard 1, 2, grade 1, 2, 3, I was very lucky to have absolutely loving, doting teachers. And I now realize that when I think of them, I might have forgotten about them at some point, because then you're just trying to deal with life. But now when I sit, I realize that I feel so expanded, and I feel the love they gave me even now. And that kinds of heals me at times when I feel bitter, or when I think of them, it just brings such a big smile on my face. I found one of them on Facebook and managed to connect with them. And it was sheer pleasure for me to tell her that, the love you gave me when I was in grade 1 just makes me feel expanded even now. And she had this really cute nickname for me, and it just makes me smile. So imagine everyone having that, or imagine a lot of people not having that. So it's such a disparity. It's something which has to be there for everybody. So that's the unique power we are blessed with as women, right? And that's what we share with our mothers, our sister. My sister's like, she's 8 years older to me. She's like my mother. My mother's always been very doting. I have 2 sister-in-laws. We all are like sisters, And I've been very lucky to have friends when in my most vulnerable times, it is them who gave me strength. I have some really special friends who just know how to be there with me. So, I mean, it's something with which we can actually heal the world. So I feel it starts at an individual level, but it actually converts into a whole societal thing. And I think it has a domino effect, because if you experience it, that's what you give as well. And it kinds of, everyone gets enveloped in that nurturing environment. So yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot of power.
Thank you, Ms. Nikunj. Yes, listening to both you and Dr. Sadhana, I feel that this, what has been created here, the heart to heart, is the purpose is so clear, and you're absolutely right, that everything starts with unconditional love. And then there's, as Mohanji always says, when the heart is expanded and you take everybody in, could never go wrong. So I'm sure that the audience is taking in all these wonderful things that you're sharing with us, that both you and Dr. Singh have shared with us. Thank you once again, Ms. Nikunj, for your answer. And now I think what we can do is we would like to open the floor to our attentive audience. If any of you have any questions for our wonderful speakers, I think this is the time. We either welcome you to unmute, or if some of you want to, write your question in the chat, that's fine too. So,
Dr. Singh, if no one has a question, I have a question for you. I don't know if your internet connection would allow you to listen to my question, but I felt very interested in how you have integrated Western medicine, Eastern medicine into your Western medicine practice. I myself am an endocrinologist, and I see a lot of infertility, a lot of polycystic ovaries. And one thing that I have been telling my patients, because of the literature that backs it up and also personal experience, is to minimize the exposure to what we call EDCs, which is endocrine disruptive chemicals. So we are basically what we consume, right? Not just food, but also air, water, food, everything that we consume, what we see contributes to our stress. All of these end up releasing a lot of enzymes, hormones, which can detrimentally affect a woman's fertility. So one thing that I have profoundly incorporated in my practice is telling women, especially those who are young or perimenopausal as well, to decrease their exposure in whatever way possible to these harmful disruptive chemicals. We can't perhaps completely get rid of them, but at least partially. So I promote a lot of veganism. I promote a lot of vegan diet and trying to consume more wholesome foods, trying to be more aware of where their food is coming from and what's in it. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on this, because a lot of these also contribute to metabolic health conditions like obesity and diabetes, cardiovascular mortality, a lot of these other things as well. So to positively help an individual as a whole, I have found that this discussion helps a lot of people. It helps their mental health, emotional health, physical health, metabolic health as well. So I wanted to pick your brain on this.
Yes.
Okay, so great. I think you were alluding to the EDC kind of and hormone disruptors in terms of things that we consume, in terms of our food, environment, maybe even chemicals we use. Is that right?
Yes, that was kind of most of my question. Yes, I'll let you answer because I don't know how much you can hear me.
Totally agree with you on that. And the more we can clean out whatever is possible, because what happens is when I share this with patients, and I was discouraged as to, like, I was shared that making those changes, you're never going to be 100%. Sometimes when we tell people about that, I've had patients come in with like 2 bags full of products for me to look at, like, what is this? What is this? Should we not do this? It's like, okay, you need to be realistic about what you can change in that. But definitely the food we eat and trying to be more holistic in that, as well as doing a better combination on our products in terms of the protein, the carbs, the sources of it. And oftentimes, since we all are exposed to a lot of these exogenous sort of endocrine disruptors, we would start off our patients with like a detox to begin with. Just have them either do like a fasting for a little bit, hydrating well, maybe like a juice fast, and nothing too drastic, but maybe for 4 or 5 days, or we add in supplements to do detox. And then whatever's best possible, making the changes on something simple that I tell patients is that more food that you can see what you're having rather than something just out of a can or something that's frozen. So in terms of, even if they are too busy to cook themselves, and that happens a lot with the career women we see, and who are, just life gets in the way kind of a thing, there are options where you can resource or have food dropped off, or things like, the lesser you have chemicals added to the food, the better it is. Just as you rightly said about the whole endocrine disruption with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, you are not just, the focus is just not getting the cycles to regulate, menstrual cycles to regulate, or for them to get pregnant. It's more about being healthier in life, the whole metabolic syndrome that sets in. You want them to not be at a risk to cardiovascular issues later in life, blood pressure issues, high blood pressure. So making that change at a time where they can address this as a preventive rather than a curative, regimen to incorporate. So that's my frustration at times when with Western medicine, a young girl who's not having her periods on time or is having delayed periods, and which is oftentimes we see with polycystic ovaries, when that happens, they're put on the birth control pill. Okay, here it is, your solution for the birth. We've put you on the pill, you're getting a period every month, but hey, what happens 10 years later when she gets off the pill and then wants to try to conceive? Then it's just about, you snowball the whole thing into like, let's go into IUI and IVF because you're not, having periods regularly. So there in itself, where you mentioned in terms of the changes they can make, which is going to be helpful to manage the polycystic ovaries in a better fashion than to put a band-aid to it in terms of the birth control pill.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh, for your wonderful, insightful response. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Dr. Namita, for asking that question. And thank you, Dr. Singh, for your response. I mean, there was so much to learn and, understanding. It's not that there's anything against mainstream medicine, but, Dr. Singh, earlier you talked about holistic. And I think that is what is really wonderful about holistic, is that you treat the whole, 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 holistically, HOLISTICALLY. Wonderful. So much information to take back home for all of us and the audience. So thank you so much, Dr. Singh and Ms. Nikunj, for sharing, your heartfelt experiences. And we deeply appreciate you taking time to be here and impart your invaluable wisdom. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that if there are any other questions for Ms. Nikunj before we move on, coming close to the end of our program and event. Any more questions?
There is a question on the chat, Kalpana. I can read that out.
Yes, please. Yeah, okay. Just go ahead.
So someone is asking, what was your definition of success early on in your career? And their second question is, today, what are the top leadership qualities that you would nurture in our young daughters?
Mm-hmm. Who is this for?
I think they've just asked if Dr. Singh is having issues with connection. We can perhaps first start off with Nikunj.
Yes.
I think for me, when I think of leadership, I mean, when I look at that whole journey of mine, even during my job, I think that whole understanding of working with the team was primary. And why I feel is it's so coincidental because that we're talking about it today, because I think that has to do a lot with our nurturing quality as well. When I was working in the industry, it's a segment, the garment industry or the fashion industry, where there are many touch points. So you have like an embroiderer, you have like some 30 people you're talking to every day, the embroiderer, the dyer, your junior, your senior, the client, like, multiple people you interacting with. And I still have people who I worked with in Bombay who call and check on me and want to know when I'm moving back. So this is something which I feel has been my biggest earning, and where you actually work with them and you build an ecosystem so you can lead teams better, where it's not about you being in a position where everyone is a leader in their own job, and you create a space where everyone is working together. So I think that's the being the people's person, where you give a space to everyone to grow, for everyone to grow. You definitely guide where you have to guide, but at the same time, it's not so much about the hierarchy. It's more about collective learning and collective growth. And I think that's been my biggest learning. It's something which I saw even in my family, like right from my grandparents, where even at the house, that whole aspect of sharing and that whole mindfulness of how you're behaving with everybody, even who's someone who's working at home. If you are able to win everyone's heart, your work gets so much better than anything. And over there, like in the industry, I know we had to churn out work overnight. Like the client would say, oh, I have a show and I need everything sent and exported in 2 days. So you rely on the tailor and you rely on the embroiderer. If you're not a people's person, they'll be like, oh, sorry, madam, मैं तो बहुत थक गया हूँ. But if you actually have won their hearts and you work as a team, they'll work overnight for you and they'll make it happen for you. So I think this is something which has been my biggest learning. And I see this also not only in a working atmosphere. I'm sorry, I'm just deviating, but I'm just saying that I actually interact with the children at Mohanpur. We have the Mohanji Kangan over there. And I figure that these children actually, because the parents are so busy dealing with their lives, they have not had that nurturing there, right? So when I met them, it would take me 2 hours to make them even stand in one place quietly. And right now, when you see them, they don't abuse. Earlier, they used to abuse. Every sentence had some abusive word. And that whole feeling of, so when I go, I don't go as a teacher. I go as their friend, as whatever role they want me to be. And if there's a birthday we're celebrating, there'll be 20 hands putting cake in my mouth. I can't even tell you what that feeling is, with those little tiny hands feeding. Each one wants to feed you cake. And if you're not going for a class, there are 50 questions. Why didn't you come? And why were you absent? Why did you have to go? Blah, blah. And I mean, it is the most amazing feeling and the most empowering feeling, I feel. So I think that's what whole leadership is about. And for me, also success, the other question is about that happiness and that contentment quotient, when it makes you feel expanded, you brought smiles on people's faces, and you feel there's something which has actually brought transformation in you and brought transformation in people, in society, and others. I think your job is done. So it doesn't have to equate with money, or everyone has their own individual point of view. But I feel this is the core of everything. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Nikunj. Such insightful, messages that you giving all of us. Thank you. Dr. Singh, are you back?
What was your definition of success early on in your career? Early on in my career, since I feel like I have like a second kind of a spring in my life with the whole holistic kind of medicine and healing part of it, early in the career, I would put my definition of success very much as what Western medicine is, like study, do well in your school, your grades, do well at medical school, achieve, you're a doctor, and here you are trying out. The success was definitely a little bit of a monetary aspect also. Okay, you got you're making money, you're a doctor, and then creeps in the whole thing about your feeling of why did you get there, because obviously you want to help people. So then it goes on to that level of where it gives you that satisfaction, that professional sort of satisfaction of being able to help an individual. And again, their most vulnerable moments, because when we are not healthy, like we all take health for granted, when we are not healthy, that's when we start to be like, I should have taken care of this before, So, and when you're not healthy, it brings out the worst or the best in people. And a lot of time it's the worst. So when you are helping them feel better, that all is very professionally satisfying. So that would have been, I would say, early on in the career. And now with this sort of a second life of, working with complementary medicine and bringing it a full circle, I feel it's more about sharing, about the educating women and educating, other practitioners in our field, which that's why we have this board we set up, as well as support groups like this, support similar to support women, to just empower, to share what we know and what we've learned over a period of time. So I find this, and also with our patients, we find that support groups are a huge help, where you don't feel alone. So that's always helpful, as well as today, what are the top leadership qualities I would nurture or in our young daughters? I feel like there is no substitute to education, and it doesn't have to be a formal sort of if they don't have access to that formalized education, it doesn't have to be. That's not the only way. I feel like the whole thing what Nikunj has done, empowering those women, that could be equitable to an undergrad degree somewhere, just because they've learned a skill which they're going to carry through in life. So I feel like always inculcating education in a formal, informal, whatever can give them a career path. And then another thing is self-confidence, always being confident in what you're doing. Speak up. A lot of times we take our qualities and we don't, communicate as well. And when you don't communicate, the other people just are not able to understand what you are trying to, sort of relate or tell them about. So as a leadership, that's always important, to be able to speak, communicate. And I always am a huge supporter of, supporting other women. We bring out we can sort of, one of those, I think I probably misquoting here, but it's about, you fix a crown on another woman without letting the rest of the people know that it was crooked, right? So I mean, I think just empowering, just sort of spending more time with our women friends. I think there was a research out of one of the Ivy League schools that talked about how when we as women in a group have that team estrogen going, it's equitable to a huge amount of stress management. You could have spent, hours and money, but you probably get that from a small session of doing a small retreat with a group of close friends where we can support each other, and understand each other.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Singh. Both you and Nikunj, you both of you have been so encouraging, and then somehow I'm feeling my heart is expanded right now. And this whole, women coming together, holding hands, it kind of just empowers you, So thank you for sharing all your heartfelt experiences, and both Dr. Singh and Ms. Nikunj. And we have, as much as we would like to continue, we have come to the end of the program. And we would like to give out certificates of appreciation to our guests. So we'll start with Dr. Singh. So I'm just going to read it out. Mohanji Foundation, USA, is pleased to present these distinctive certificates of appreciation to Dr. Sadhana Singh for your exceptional contribution to women's health, your holistic approach to fertility, and your unwavering dedication to empowering women and inspiring transformative change. And now for Ms. Nikunj. Mohanji Foundation USA is pleased to present to Ms. Nikunj Naredi for your visionary leadership in sustainable fashion, empowering women through social entrepreneurship, and your unwavering commitment to creating positive change in both rural and urban communities. So we have the certificates, and at this point, on behalf of the entire team, our heartfelt gratitude to both of you, both Dr. Singh and Ms. Nikunj. The Heart to Heart Women's Circle under the World Womanhood Project is a space for women to unite and share our journeys, to enrich both our lives and the lives of those around us. It empowers women to channel the divine feminine, strengthening communities, fostering positivity, compassion, and selflessness. At its core, it's about women supporting women, uplifting each other to ignite a global movement for empowerment. We encourage anyone interested in future heart-to-heart programs or starting a women's circle in your country to reach out to us. We are here to support and empower you. And our contact details are in the chat box. Now, I would like to end our session, this beautiful session, with a quote. We'd wrap it up with a quote from our beloved Mohanji. No man can ever make a woman complete or fulfilled. A child can. This is the truth of life. A woman becomes complete through children, not necessarily her own children, but being a mother to nature and to the world outside. Life becomes complete when a woman behaves as a mother. Womanhood is motherhood. Thank you, dear guests, Dr. Singh and Ms. Nikunj, for finding time and being with us and sharing all your, thoughts, ideas, and your experiences. Thank you so much. And I hope all of you have enjoyed the program and are left feeling inspired by our wonderful speakers today. And I said already, my heart is already very expanded. We will see you again in the summer of 2025 with our next heart-to-heart session and with more women who have made this world a better place. So thank you once again, Dr. Singh, Ms. Nikunj, and the lovely audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, and thank you, Nikunj, for wonderful session. And we really feel we are so grateful, both of you here, and you shared beautiful your experiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us here. We're very grateful as well.
Thank you so much, Nikunj and Dr. Singh, for such soulful conversations and for really sharing from your heart to our heart. And our hearts are really expanded, like how Kalpana said. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And bye-bye. Thanks.
And Andrea says how powerful team estrogen is.
Oh, for sure. That's always the most powerful, is team estrogen. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. This was absolutely sensational. Really, really. This is the best I think that we have ever done in terms of sharing the wisdom of womanhood, the wisdom of womanhood.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been wonderful, really. And just while both the speakers were speaking, I was just like, okay, am I really expanding? Because I could feel the expansion,
Yeah.
and it felt, this whole team, this coming together, it's so reassuring, it's all in there within us. There's nothing to find from the external, as Mohanji would say. But when we all come together and we hold hands, it just surfaces.
It totally nourishes the soul, Kalpana.
And Yasna, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I'm waiting
our
to
speakers
say.
know Yasna's from Serbia.
Yes,
Oh.
Heart to Heart Serbia. I wanted to say that I was so inspired, and I started to ask myself, am I using all my potentials, So this is a big question for in my head now. Am I using all of my potentials like these two wonderful ladies and all of you? So I'm truly inspired and truly grateful. And this is example from life. This is life itself. So we can just, we are connected. We can just share and cope and support each other. This is beautiful. My heart is full. Thank you.